Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about the tournament grade winder launcher. So this has a couple interesting features over the string launcher. I personally prefer string launchers, but I wanted to make this video on winder launchers for those who are getting into the hobby or those who are curious what the differences are, which one to pick up. This video should help you guys out. So just to clarify, both launchers, string launchers and winder launchers, are both used by top players. They're both good. They both have positives and negatives. So if somebody is saying that one is better than the other, that's not necessarily true. It really depends on what you prioritize in your launcher for Beyblade X. I highly recommend trying out both string launchers and winder launchers to find out which one you're comfortable with, or better yet, master both if you can. So probably the biggest benefit for the winder launcher is that you can get more power out of them. Because there's no string, the mechanism isn't limited. It doesn't stop after you pull the ripcord through, so it free spins, versus the string launcher, which obviously can't free spin after you pull the string through because it has to recoil itself after launch. You're also only able to pull so hard with the string launchers because if you try to pull that string all the way through to the end as hard as you can, there is a possibility that you can end up pulling the mechanism apart or ripping the string out. Probably one of the biggest issues with the ripcord launcher is that if you don't have an extremely firm grip on the hand that is actually holding the launcher, it is possible that your hand will shift when you're pulling the ripcord through just because of the tension on the ripcord inside of the launcher. It's harder to pull through than it is with string, and that can end up shifting your hand that is actually gripping the launcher, which can alter where you want your Beyblade to actually end up in the stadium. The other drawback for ripcord launchers is the angle at which you can launch, and that is limited to the direction that you have to pull the ripcord out versus string, which can pretty much be pulled any direction. So with ripcords, you have to pull it straight through. You can kind of angle it a little bit, but you end up running into the issue of your hand hitting the shroud or just not being able to get a good angle because of the way you have to pull that ripcord through. So that is something to keep in mind. Typically when I'm talking about launchers, I say that, ripcords have more power, string has more control. So which one you prefer is really up to you. String launcher obviously is a little bit weaker, although I'm not sure that that matters that much. Ripcords are easier and you can get more power. So it's really whatever you want to prioritize. And while I would consider string launchers a little more fragile in that if you don't know what you're doing, you can break them a little easier, ripcords are not immune to breaking either. The big thing is the actual ripcords themselves. The teeth on them tend to wear out over time. So keep that in mind. You definitely want those ripcords as straight as possible. So if you get them out of the box and they're a little curled, I would put them inside a book or something heavy in order to try to straighten them out. The other thing that you want to be wary of when using ripcord launchers is it's very easy to feel compelled to pull it as hard as possible, but that isn't always necessarily a good thing. It's great to have a strong launch, but pulling as hard as possible, one, increases the tension on the hand that is holding the launcher, so you're more likely to shift your launch, and two, the harder you launch, the more likely you are to self-KO. So you end up launching too hard and you end up just making no contact and ending up in the pocket, or end up extreme finishing, which is not good for you because you end up losing a good chunk of points ending up in those pockets. So very important to try to maintain a controlled launch, figure out what is the appropriate strength in order to pull that ripcord, and try to stick to that. Like I said, it is very easy to try to feel like you need to pull that as hard as possible. That isn't always the case. So with that being said, again, I highly recommend everybody try both types of launchers, both string and ripcord. If this was helpful, let me know down in the comments. Hit the like for the algorithm, subscribe if you haven't already for future Beyblade content, and I will see you all in the next one. If you guys feel like supporting the channel, feel free to check out my Patreon down below, where for a limited time you can get these holographic Max chip stickers. These go right on top of the chips for Beyblade X. They are limited, and this is basically my cat. You'll occasionally see him in end screens of videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.